What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about social skills. Now, in my book, I talked about social skills not being real, and I kind of want to make an amendment to that. And it's not because I'm taking back what I said, but I want to kind of talk about this aspect of social skills and why I think social skills is overrated. Now, first off, I am a 31-year-old man. I'm very successful in my career, in my life, in my dating life. I've been pretty much more successful than the average guy would probably ever be. No shade, but it's just facts. I've had elaborate social circles. I was a mini celebrity. So I have the credentials to talk about this topic. I'm not some 19-year-old autistic, kid sitting in my basement talking about stuff I don't know anything about. I'm talking based off of experience. So I want to talk about social skills and why social skills are overrated. Now this video might blow over some people's heads. Some people may not understand what I'm saying about social skills and why it's extremely overrated. And in some aspects, dare I say, social skills are a myth. Not that they're actually a myth, but what society, what gurus, what dating coaches, marketers, the idea that they sell you of social skills is technically a myth. And I'll talk about why in this video. You know, when you hear dating coaches and self-improvement people, the first thing they tell you is, you got to work on your social skills, bruh. They love to talk about, so it's your social skills. Just the average normie advice, it's your social skills, man, and it's just like, shut the fuck up, but social skills, a lot of people who claim they have bad social skills, these people are never put themselves in situations. They say, oh, it's because I have bad social skills, but they've been living in their parents' basement. I mean, as not living in there, I don't want to use that example, but they're a teenager who's been playing video games all throughout high school. So they didn't go to the football games. They didn't interact at all. They didn't do any activities. They didn't go to any club meetings. And they just want to say, it's because my social skills, or, somebody's in college and they say, I don't have any friends. I just sit at my, and they just sit in their dorm. They don't leave their dorm, or they don't leave. Maybe they live off campus. They don't actually participate in any of the events. They don't go to sports events. They don't go to any meetups. They don't go to any clubs. There's tons of clubs on campus. But these people are the first people to say, it's because of my social skills, but social skills are not as important as society would lead you to believe. Social skills is a concept that has just been pushed and kind of sold as this solution by marketers and gurus. And marketers and gurus love the idea of social skills because it's abstract. If you sell somebody a system and the system isn't working, you can just simply say, oh, it's because your social skills, bro. It's because you still got to work on your social skills, But social skills is an entirely kind of made up concept. It's a false hope that if you learn social skills, that's the key to success. And I'm here to tell you guys, learning social skills is not the key to success. In fact, most successful people are actually not that social. If you look at some of the most successful people, they're not these like super social people. Most successful people, they kind of take up, living on the outskirts of society. A lot of successful people, they live on the countryside. They buy houses and estates on the countrysides, not in the middle of a fucking downtown city where you can where you can socialize and practice your social skills. And this is actually research that's shown this, that most successful people are not as outgoing and social as gurus and marketers will lead you to believe. Now, with that being said, do I think social skills or the idea of being social is completely false? No. Most of social skills, guys, is just basic etiquette. It's just basic etiquette, standard golden rules that you learn basically from growing up from a kid to an adult. If you missed out on development, then That's something you need to work on. If you missed out on learning the basic human etiquette, like what, for example, having some level of empathy and compassion, just being able to understand others, that's a natural thing. There's research that show that when humans see facial expressions or they see another human suffering, there's a certain region in your brain that gets activated. This is all biological stuff. This isn't like, oh, it's because you got social skills. No, it's a biological thing. A lot of social skills come down to brain chemistry as well. But when we talk about just basic etiquette, what we're talking about is, not talking about yourself too much. Stuff you learn growing up, you learn as a kid, teenager, if you've been putting yourself into situations with other people, you learn this stuff, not talking about yourself too much, giving other people the chance to speak up and talk about themselves, asking people things about themselves, just basic shit, smiling or not smiling, but, being cordial, when you meet somebody new, not just having a fucking a facial expression of just like a empty expression, but learning how to smile and greet people. Shit that you learn as a kid. As a kid, you meet your grandparents, you meet your family members, and your parents tell you to smile, shake their hand, or hug. Just basic shit. Good communication skills. Now, when it comes down to good communication skills, this involves being able to articulate your own thoughts. That's really what communication is. Now, I do think that's something that you can get better at, is being able to articulate your own thoughts. Some people are naturally better at it, right? So, for example, me, I'm naturally good at articulating my own thoughts, right? So that's another aspect of social skills, but that kind of comes naturally as well. Like if you filter yourself too much, if you have high anxiety, you're probably going to have bad communication skills, because even though the words, the thoughts, the feelings are coming to you, you're not able to naturally express them because you have high anxiety. And I want to talk about anxiety in a second, but this is just social skills, basic etiquettes, right? So I do think at a basic foundation, there is a thing called social skills, but it's a very basic thing. See, most people want to use social skills to cope with the fact that they're not getting the results they want in life, and they look for reasons to blame other than just like, maybe it's just not in the cards for you. Maybe you're just not that person. Oh, it's because my social skills. If I improve my social skills, I'll become more successful. I'll have more friends. Not exactly, because see, social skills don't actually help you make more friends. You might say, what? Yes, that's true. Social skills don't help you make more friends. See, relationships, and I've learned this through my career and my lifetime, building relationships, having friendships with people, building solid connections at work, and having connections comes down to history and time. It comes down to history and time. For example, if you've been working at a company for, let's say, 5 years, and someone in the company who you've worked with closely for the last couple years, you don't even have to be fake. You just have to you just can't be an asshole. As long as you haven't been an asshole, you've done good work, this person, they know you guys been working together for an extended period of time, you have history. So let's say this person goes to a different company. Well, now you have a connection at this company because this person has a history with you. They work with you. They know you're not an asshole. You're a decent human being. So your chances of actually moving to that company is probably higher now because you have that connection. So what I'm trying to say is that most friendships comes down to common interests, time, and history, not necessarily social skills. If you have common interest with someone, if you guys have common interest, it's going to be easy, very, very easy to talk to people. What I've come to realize, guys, is the fact that, see, my personality type is very rare. I'm an I think I'm an ENTPJ or INTJ or something like that. One of those. I'm the INTJ, whatever it is. I'm on that kind of spectrum. That's my personality type. That personality type is more rare in society. So, of course, you are going to have a harder time connecting with people. It's not because your social skills, bruh. No, it's because your personality type, your interests are more rare. So it's going to be harder for you to connect with people. So, for example, if you're not into going to raves, right, then obviously, that's going to cut out a lot of potential connections, because A lot of people go to, that's a common interest that a lot of people go to raves, so the more generic, the more common your interest, the more common the things that you're into, the more common your personality type will make it easier to have friends and to find people to be friends with and to have connections with. Not because of social skills, guys. Dude, if knowing this at 18, you guys should, honestly, this shouldn't be free. I shouldn't be putting out this for free, because this is like some deep, like from the Elder Scrolls. This is like some Elder Scrolls wisdom. I'm breaking bread with you guys. But social skills. So a lot of that comes down to common interests. Technically, if you wanted to say, oh, I want to improve my social skills, the best thing to do would be to just have a variety of interests that are common amongst the population of people. So that way you're able to put yourself in situations where you're able to meet other people. A lot of social skills is just being in situations where you're able to meet someone else and have a common interest. So most of it is outside your control, but this idea of social skills is sold to people as you can make it happen if you just learn social skills. And it's like, no, it's not true. A lot of the shit is outside your control. A lot of this stuff comes down to your childhood experiences as well. How you were raised, how did your parents raise you? Did your parents shut you in and isolate you from the world as a kid? All that matters. All that stuff makes a big difference. And there's nothing you can do to really change that. You can try to manipulate, most people want to learn social skills so that they feel they can manipulate to get what they want. They want to try to manipulate things. If I read the 48 Laws of Power, or if I read, what's that book? How to have friends and influence people, right? That book. That's another book that people kind of pass around. Oh, then I can learn how to get what I want. A lot of these books teach manipulation, and does manipulation work? Maybe, but I believe in life, you shouldn't have to manipulate. Most people who are the most successful, the people who live the best lives, you don't have to manipulate. You don't have to, all of this stuff comes down to very fundamental principles. You don't need to manipulate. This comes from self-help gurus and self-improvement, toxic self-improvement coaches. Another thing I want to talk about is, having anxiety. A lot of people, really what boils down to having bad social skills comes down to anxiety. Having a lack of inner confidence to be able to express yourself naturally without feeling, the fear of being judged. That's really what it comes down to. The people who you think have good social skills are just simply people who are not afraid to voice their opinions, who are not afraid to voice their natural thoughts. They have a variety of knowledge about a variety of topics. If you are inexperienced and you have absolutely no knowledge about anything other than video games, of course you're going to have bad fucking social skills, bro. Of course you're not going to have things to talk about, because you're just not an interesting person. And that's fine, but you have to accept that. But a lot of it comes down to your anxiety too. If you're high anxiety, your inhibition is going to be very high, meaning you're going to constantly filter yourself and not allow yourself to fully express yourself. And that's not a social skill either. That's something you can work through. The more you lower your anxiety, the more you learn to work with your anxiety, because anxiety is not real. I've learned this over the years, right? Like with anxiety, it's best to not fight it. Don't try to not be anxious. Just accept that you're a little bit anxious and just still push through it anyway, because it's not real. Like, just because you say something, nobody's going to shoot you in the head. No one's going to do anything bad with you. So a lot of anxiety is working through your own illusions. Okay. But that's pretty much what it is. So a lot of this stuff, when it comes down to social skills, it's learning to just be able to let yourself naturally express yourself. If you have nothing to say, then say nothing. It's not about not being awkward. Like, it's okay to be awkward sometimes. Some things are awkward, some things are not. Sometimes you say something and it might come out awkward. Sometimes situations happen where everything is awkward. Sometimes you talk to people who you just don't have anything to say anything to. That's natural. It doesn't mean that, oh, it's good, my social skills. It's social skills. So what I've learned over the years is instead of trying to get good at social skills, it's better to develop the courage to allow yourself to be what you are naturally. You know, if you have something to say it. If somebody says something and something comes to mind, say it. It's learning to just let yourself be, you know. If you're a quiet and reserved type, then let yourself be the quiet and reserved type. That's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you're not going to have friends because you're quiet and reserved. No, it doesn't mean that at all. You know, if you're scared to go and interact with people, that's something you need to work on. That's not like that's not a symptom of having bad social skills. You see, if you're naturally the type of person who doesn't talk a lot, that's fine. You don't need to pretend that you are. It doesn't mean that you have bad social skills just because you're not like a blabbermouth talking too fucking much, you know? People will genuinely find you interest if you have common interests, if you have a common goal, like coworkers, like a group or people who you meet doing certain activities, like maybe gaming. This is why a lot of people are meeting friends online. Why is it that people nowadays are saying that, you know, I meet better friends online. I meet people who I connect with more online than real life. Why is that? It's not because of social skills. It's because these people have a deep common interest and they can connect deeply on it. Humans, we love what's similar to us. We love meeting people who have similar experiences, similar interests, even similar personality types. You know, if you look at most friend groups are not a big diverse group of people. They're typically they share a lot of the same interests. Even their personality types are somewhat the same. And this is what you notice. And again, when it comes to building relationships and building connections, it comes down to history and time. You know, a lot of people, for example, my first job I got, a few of the people who also got the job, they got the job because their parents knew the one of the managers or somebody at the company there, because their parents have a history with these people. It's not because of, oh, you had good social skills. No, it's not because of your social skills, you know. This is why in certain careers, you know, people talk about soft skills, but see, soft skills is a made up thing. It's all a bunch of trash, because really the people who make the most money are the people who produce results. And we're seeing that more and more now. The people who produce results are the people who make the most money, the people who are good in sales, right? And sales is manipulation. Let's be honest. Sales marketing is manipulation. So if you want to be a salesperson or a marketer, you will have to learn manipulation tactics. You will have to learn how to manipulate people to get sales. This is why I believe in the idea of the purple cow. The purple cow is an idea by a guy named Seth Godin. And Seth Godin talks about the purple cow, how, you know, people rely on marketing when they have a shitty product. If you have to rely on sales tactics and marketing, it's because your product is not that valuable. It's because your product is probably not that needed by people. Good products, the purple cow, is a product that sells itself because there's a genuine need and desire for that product. But you know, the smarter you are, again, the more niche your interests, the least you will probably be able to connect with women. That's another example, because women typically like the same things. And I'm not saying that all women are the same. There are a lot of women who are unique and awesome, not discrediting it. But if you look at the interest of women, it's less diverse than men as a majority. I'm not saying there's not individual women who don't, but as a majority, most women tend to have the same interests. You know, TV shows, going to wineries, shopping, that type of thing, right? Whereas with men, you know, a man may be like a tree scientist, you know, because he finds trees interesting, and women can do the same, but it's more common that you find men with a greater diversity or more niche interest. And this is why a lot of guys find it hard to connect with women, because, you know, if you don't have common interests, it's not going to come naturally. You're going to have to fake and be fake about it. You know, this is why for me, I've learned over the years that the best women I do the best with are women who I tend to share certain things with, you know, certain interests with, even certain personality characteristics. And I'm not saying that you want to meet the same person, like the same clone of yourself, but it all boils down to interests, history, and timing. That's really what it boils down to, not social skills. You know, if you're not popular, you're probably not popular because you're just not built to be popular. See, a lot of this stuff comes down to also your brain chemistry, you know, certain areas of your brain. If you don't get as much dopamine from socializing as another person, then your natural expression is going to be to socialize less. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you have bad social skills. Your chemistry is different, you know? People who are autistic or have Asperger's, these people, their genetics, their brain chemistry, they don't get the same cues and signals and neurons firing as someone with a more normal brain, right? And this is why they're autistic. This is why they have Asperger's. So it comes down to brain chemistry as well. Your experiences, your childhood, you know, did your environment give you the chance to naturally express your genetics? You know, you could be a very, very extroverted person, but maybe your parents locked you away in a room when you were a kid and didn't let you out the house that much, and now you exhibit introverted tendencies. It could be possible. So you have to do a lot of soul searching and kind of looking at the truth about yourself. But you know, if you're not popular, you're not popular because you're probably just not that person. You know, you're probably not, you don't have the ingredients to make you a super popular person. You know, oh, life of the party, super extroverted, super happy, super smiley, making people laugh. That stuff comes down to, a lot of it is nurture. You know, it's nurture versus nature. Your early experiences. Were you funny as a kid? A lot of kids, people who are funny, were typically funny as kids. They grew up being funny. You know, they didn't just become like 30 years old and they're trying to learn how to be funny. It's just going to come off as fake and phony. And humans have a really, really good bullshit detector. We can see when someone's being congruent. We can see when someone's being real. We can always notice these things. You know, humans have and this is all brain chemistry as well. Our brains can naturally detect incongruencies. And there's actually research that's been done that show that the more wealthy people are, the more social, or the more they socialize. And this is true. There's research that shows this. And you might say, well, why is that? It's because of common interests. It's because, see, when you're poor, you need other people, right? Because if you're poor, if something happens, you can't just afford to hire somebody. You know, you just can't afford to pay your way through. You got to rely on people actually liking you. So there's a huge need to manipulate other people into liking you, being fake, being phony. You can't be authentic because you're desperate. This is why poor people tend to have what's called better social skills. This is why like a lot of black guys, people like this who grew up in hoods and environments tend to be appear to be what's called more neurotypical, is because the environment, you know, it's a desperate environment where you need the connections, you need those things, you need people to support you. But the more wealthy you become, the more independent you become, the less you need the tribe. This is why I always said in the past, the reason why people are becoming less social is because there's no reason to be more social. You know, now you do get, you know, your brain, there is dopamine, things like that, that fires when you connect with people. But, you know, people are not forming in tribes and doing the things how they used to do them, because it's just the landscape is changing. Our society is changing. But the people, you know, I'm gonna leave off with this, you know, the people who I've noticed who have the best so-called social skills, they don't actually have social skills. They just have the courage to speak up. They have the courage to say what they want to say. And they also have a knowledge about the common interests, you know, whatever the topic is. Like, for example, my ex-boss, she didn't really necessarily have good social skills, or she wasn't an extrovert either, but everybody thought she had amazing social skills and was an extrovert because she was so knowledgeable about a variety of topics, so she could speak on these things. She had well-informed opinions about a variety of things that allowed her to speak on these things. And yes, you do have to have the courage to express yourself. You do have to have the courage to speak up. Like I said, if you have high anxiety or whatever, you got to work through that and work on that, but not social. It's not because you lack social skills. And even myself, because I'm so knowledgeable in a variety of topics when it comes to my career and even in general, this allows me to connect with people because I can speak and talk on different talking points. You know, if there's a conversation going on, I can jump in easily because I already know what they're talking about. I have a well-informed opinion. And even if I don't, You know, you can just simply ask people questions. You know, this is just, again, basic social etiquettes you learn as a kid. Working in groups and classrooms, you learn that you may not connect with every person, but there is a compromise to get the job done. Sometimes you may work with somebody you don't like, but there is a way that you can work and get the job done without necessarily like being best buddies with people. And this is shit you learn in high school. You work in chemistry at the chemistry tables in high school. In college, you work in groups. Teachers put you in groups. Very, very basic shit. So again, you know, if you're so, it's not because your social skills. If you, oh, I suck with women, bro. If you suck with women, it's probably not because your social skills. It's probably because of, it's probably a number of reasons. It's not like one reason. It could be maybe you're not putting yourself in situations to meet women who find you attractive, who are your type. It could be maybe you're just, maybe you aren't putting yourself out there enough. That is a possibility. It's probably your looks. That's another thing. Your looks, how you look, your location. It's not just like, oh, it's your social skills, bruh. You know, if you go out on a date with a woman and if you guys don't have anything to talk about, it's because you probably don't have any you don't have any mutual interests. You have nothing to talk about. This is why men who learn how to talk to women, what they learn is they learn a variety of interests that women like. Women like shopping. They like talking about things like, gossip, or they like talking about philosophical topics, having an understanding of philosophy. All of these things can make you more interesting and allow you to communicate better. But these aren't like, it's not, oh, your social skills, bruh. What people call social skills are just basic, very basic, golden standard human etiquette, and that's all it is. So social skills are overrated. Stop overthinking it. If you feel you have bad social skills, it's probably because the number of things I mentioned in this video. There's a lot of wisdom in this video, so listen to this video twice, 3 times, but forget about social skills. If you're not getting the results you want in life, I highly doubt it's because you're not adhering to the standard social skills of society, the basic etiquettes of social skills. It's probably a number of things. Maybe some things are just not in the card for you. Sometimes you're just not made to be that person. Sometimes you're just not that guy, and that's just natural. That's just life. That's how it goes. So forget about social skills, get better. Yes. Should you get better at the basic etiquettes? Yeah, you should get better at learning how to articulate your own thoughts. That is something to improve on, but that's not like, oh, your social skills, bro. It's your social skills. Allow yourself to be yourself. Allow yourself to be who you are. Allow yourself to naturally express yourself without the fear of being judged. You're going to get judged either way. No matter what you do, people are going to judge you. And in fact, most people, they might judge you for a second, but they're not really thinking about you that deep, bruh. People aren't really thinking that deep about you. So a lot of this shit is learning to work through your own garbage, your own fake anxiety, your own illusions that you put up. It's learning to be more courageous and allowing yourself to express yourself authentically, and that's really what it is, because as you work on those things, you will naturally start to kind of exhibit better what people call social skills. So anyway, that is it for today's video, guys. Drop a comment below and I'll see you in the next one.